Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the one and the only Rum Boys Fantasy Network. It's Thursday, Thirsty Thursday. Got the club going up on a Thursday. You know how we doing. We're getting lit, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are new. I like all of our viewers. Get on over there to YouTube. Show us love. Spike that like button. You know, it looks like this. Make it go blue. And then also engage in the live chat. Let drop some questions. Let's talk it up. This is Business and Brews. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to introduce our special guests and guide our conversation on the 7 C's of fantasy football. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Fantasy Football Unlimited, the commish of commissioners, Dr. Kevin J. Murray.
Let's go. Let's go. I love
Kevin?
it. Good. Not much, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Super excited to interview you and bring you on the show. Before we get into all the good stuff, we'll just go ahead and pay some bills really quick. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure if you are into legal daily fantasy sports action for all your daily fantasy sports prop needs, make sure you head on over to monkeyknifefight.com. Promo code RUMBOYS in all caps. Ladies and gentlemen, get on over there, prop up. We got you covered on Home Run Derby. For those of you guys that are into PGA, golf is going on over there. We've got about a $2,500 pool happening right now over here. Go to get you some money, pay that phone bill, pay that rent, pay that mortgage, whatever you got to do. I know formula is high as hell, so make sure y'all go ahead and take care of that. monkeyknifefight.com, daily fantasy sports prop action. Get on over there. And I also want to remind you guys, link will be dropping in the chat routinely throughout the stream. So invite link to everybody out there in the public. 30-second quick click content. Debate your favorite sports topics from MLB, NBA, NFL, so on and so forth on the SportsMe app. Once again, that is the SportsMe app available on iOS and Android. Let's go. All righty. So now that we got the bills paid, Kevin, like I said at the beginning, man, it's honestly a pleasure to finally have you here on the Rum Boys Fantasy Network. I've known you through the Twitter sphere for about 3 years now, and our relationship and our friendship kind of honestly started, and we actually have a mutual friend, which we'll get into later, with you just reaching out and showing different creators love. And you have a website where everyone has, all their podcast links, features, and stuff like that. How did that begin? How did you target that was a need that the industry needed?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I love the game of fantasy football. I love the community of fantasy football. So naturally, seeing all the great work that people do, I wanted a way to showcase it. Right? There's so many leagues out there, especially casual leagues. I mean, most people that play fantasy don't even know about what happens on Twitter, right? So yeah, I wanted a place where people could casual fans of fantasy, casual players could find resources that they don't know about, right? I mean, obviously, the big ones, ESPN and Yahoo and big traditional sites get a huge amount of the audience, whereas, it's true, but a lot of people don't even know who the fantasy footballers are, which is a shame, right? So, yeah, casual players, I want them to find the resources because there's so many great content creators, so many great people in the community that produce awesome product and content, and I want a place where people can go and find people to listen to and find people to follow.
I appreciate it because you were one of the first that reached out, and at the time I think I was only like 3 months old in the fantasy industry, like as a business and as a podcast. So I greatly appreciate that. That was at a time period where the landscape was much different. Now everyone shows everyone love. Kevin, I want to get into your journey. Right. How did this all begin? Take us to the birth of Kevin, the fantasy football analyst and personality.
Awesome. So I've been playing fantasy for 25 years, going into the 26th year. So obviously time flies by. But if I think about like where it all began, as a kid, I was obsessed with sports, right? Everything was sports. Sports Center. I didn't watch cartoons. I watched Sports Center, right? I watched NFL Primetime, and the NFL Draft was the biggest holiday of the year aside from Christmas to me. So as a kid, loving sports, I got getting like baseball card collecting, and I think that's probably the origin of really obsessing about stats, right? You flip around that baseball card and all those stats, right? That's how you determine who was good and who wasn't. And as a kid, that was a big deal. So when I play video games like sports games, I would keep stats. When I would play youth sports, I would keep my own stats, right? So that was a big deal to me. And again, I loved Sports Center. I loved ESPN. I wanted to be Chris Berman. I wanted to be Dan Patrick when I was little, right? So I remember, seeing like this. It was probably early '90s. I saw this little clip on Sports Center or something about fantasy football, and I thought, wow, that's awesome. That really is right up my alley. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, wow, fantasy football sounds fun. But I was young. I was a kid. I didn't really know much about it. But then I had a subscription to Sporting News, and one day, you open up that page, and I found an ad for the Sporting News Fantasy Football Challenge, and I'm like, this is it. So I got my mom's credit card. I got her sign me up. I was in early high school, and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, her dad had a fax machine, right? So I could sign up for this fantasy football challenge. I could get the results faxed to me. It was perfect, right? Yep. So I entered the competition. It was like a rotisserie league where you're playing, you're with 25 people in your league, and then there was like a larger conference division, whatnot. But I finished in first place, right? So I won like over $700, and I'm like, this is amazing, right? And at the same time, I had a part-time job in high school at a Napa Auto Part Distribution Center, right? So I was stocking shelves in the afternoons. There was a bunch of guys that were like full-timers, older guys that like did the part picking, right? They'd have their own stations, and I'd hear them talking about fantasy. And I didn't know of a single fantasy football league. I just know that I was playing this challenge. It was great, and I knew I wanted in. So these guys would always talk fantasy, and I didn't even work there very, very long. So I would purposely leave like little notes, jotted down stats or lineups in their stations or around the area so that they would find it. And then that would initiate them, conversation with me about fantasy. Yep. And it worked out perfectly. I kind of just made it happen where they're like, all right, hey, we got this young kid, let's bring him into our league. So I joined that league. I played that for a few years. And then I went down to chiropractic college, and we had a big class, like 150 people or so. And it was around the start of the football season, and I thought, well, what's a good way to meet these people? Get to know these people more than like fantasy football. So I sent out an email blast to everybody, invited them to a league, and that was essentially like the origin of me commissioning leagues and me getting my home league together. So that was around 2001 or so, and that was totally fun. And then I was we'd play fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball, fantasy football, year round throughout the course of school. And it was incredible, but it wasn't my primary league, because then that initially kind of folded because there was some like drama, right? There was
always,
right. So there was there was some trash talk that went south, and somebody dropped all their players, and that league blew up. But then I kind of exchanged it for another league that I found where it was a bunch of like doctors around the nation that, for some reason they got me in, but it was like high stakes, which was great. It was fun. And that was my focus for several years, right? That league. And then I had these side leagues, right? And then that league, the commissioner one year disappeared, right? After the payouts were supposed to go out, they didn't go out, and he disappeared for like 9-10 months. Finally found him, but that was an interesting situation, right?
Yeah, that's always an interesting situation.
So I had seen that. I'd seen that previous experience with the guy dropping all of his players, and then I saw a guy once get mad at the commissioner because of a stat correction from Yahoo. Right? They thought the commissioner did it on purpose. Right? So he blew up a league. In that case. So I had seen these great experiences in fantasy. Living the fantasy life, and then I've seen these leagues just blow up and fizzle.
Yeah.
And so at that time I said, all right, I'm in Seattle. I'm surrounded by friends, family. This original league that I put together, a lot of them kind of dissipated after we got done with school. And so I thought, well, this is a great time to start a live home league, right?
Yeah.
So I said, let's get away from that high stakes league and let's focus on creating the greatest league that I possibly could, right? So I've given I was creative and I loved the game and I knew enough people to put something together.
Yeah.
We decided to go for a live fantasy draft, and that was like 2011, and that is where kind of the origin of the Murray Fantasy League started. So with that, I thought I got to make this special. Like, there's no reason to not make this special.
Yeah.
So,
like you. I always say this: your league, like my league that I commission, like it's got to be bigger, better than every other league. So for draft, like we got to throw a party, we got to go big.
Exactly. So that's what 2010 is probably when it started like coming together. And I said, my brother's a graphic designer. Let's do logos for our league, right? So all of our league mates had their own custom logos made before they even knew it. And then they came to the live draft. They didn't know what to expect, but I had it all set up with a podium. We did this just big, obnoxious speech, which was just a ton of fun to look back on. And then I recorded it all, which was really a huge part of I guess where I've grown in this is that I documented all that, recorded it, threw it up on YouTube, shared. It was such great memories to share with everybody. And from there, each year, we just went more and more in regards to the banners and championship banners and helping the game with our trophies and so that's what kind of led to the Commissioner of the Year deal, which in 2015 ESPN and Pizza Hut came up with this contest for Commissioner of the Year. So
I was about to get into that.
Yeah, and it was a big deal. I mean, I was busy, with my career and everything. I didn't even know the Twitter community really even existed, but I heard about this contest. I got on, I know that a lot of it was through Twitter, and so in 2015 we started, sharing our league experience with ESPN, and there were some technical issues with that season, so I wasn't necessarily eligible for that award that year. But they did it a second year. And after that 2015 season, ESPN actually even sent me a care package saying, hey, we see what you're doing. We love what you're doing. Make sure to sign up next year too. So in 2016, we went crazy, right, with fantasy. I mean, I had just recently read the Fantasy Life book from Matthew Berry. And he had this segment this little portion where he talked about somebody's league. They created fake Adam Schefter or fake characters and basically trolled their league mates on Twitter. So I thought, man, that'd be fun. I got to put together a bunch of characters, and just all of a sudden, instead of doing power rankings and video breakdowns myself as commissioner, I decided to do all these characters, and that went off really well. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And so that whole year, the ESPN, the contest, they had 16 Commissioner of the Weeks, right? Each week they would award Commissioner of the Week. And I won that middle of the year, and I got interviewed on Fantasy Focus with Phil Yates, which was a lot of fun. And then at the end of the year, they take the 16 candidates and they basically figured out a final four. So I made the finals, and then they basically had Field Yates do this TV show, essentially reveal for the Commissioner of the Year, and I won it. So they basically selected Commissioner of the Year, and the package was incredible. I mean, again, from a kid that just obsessed about ESPN and Sports Center and everything, it was amazing. It was basically they provided me, if you've seen the red jacket, right? That's a custom. So that's a custom ESPN Commissioner of the Year jacket, right? And then I got a Commissioner of the Year ring that's, I mean, it's got diamonds and rubies. I mean, it is the real deal.
Yeah.
All custom. And then a trip to Bristol to spend the day at the Fantasy Football Ranking Summit with ESPN and the whole ESPN fantasy crew. So basically, me and a friend, we flew up to New York, and then they pick us up, take us out to Bristol. I also got like 2 years of free pizza. This gift card that just never ended. I mean, we're still using it like last year, I think. So, and then like a $5,000 Amazon gift card. I mean, they just threw us so much stuff. And then the ESPN experience, right? Oh, it was incredible. And then the ESPN experience, I mean, was unbelievable. I mean, the people there, I mean, you think of them as, corporate and big and blah. Yeah. I mean, they are such a cool family, and the campus is just so kind of low key. Some big buildings, but it's not. I mean, it's just really like a family oriented place. Oh, yeah. And the people. I mean, the time that Phil Yates took, and Matthew Berry and Stephania Bell, and Mike Clay, and I mean, these guys were just incredible to us. Keith Lipscomb from ESPN Fantasy. I mean, he sent us to the store and just said, "Hey, get what you want," right? And gave us gift bags of all kinds of stuff. That, I mean, it was such an experience. And then to be able to tour ESPN facilities and sit on the Sports Center desk, it was definitely a massive deal when it came to childhood dreams and that experience. And that really, as a commish, getting that type of treatment, it was pretty special.
Because it's one of those things to where, like, whenever we all start in, the quote unquote fantasy football industry, like, by the way, Real Deal Fantasy HQ says 6 setup, Kevin. You enjoyed your setup. By the way, yeah, right I do enjoy your background.
Right on.
But like, it's exactly what you said. Childhood dreams. It's those unique experiences that. It's like, I got to experience this, like I'm one of select few that got to experience this. I remember 2019, when I was starting my career, I had ended up, going to the NFLPA rookie premiere. And that was like a really unique experience. I was like, wow, like I'm one of like very few that got to do this. So, like, they only brought in like 40 outsiders, like outside of the NFL. Like it's super small. So you take those experiences and then and you look at all the photos and videos that you have from them, and it's like, I need to bring this to the world. I want other people to get as close to this as possible. But not only that, I want to show them that you can do it as well. It's possible. And what I love about the fantasy football industry is that if you're on the outside looking in at people like yourself, myself, the footballers, the Troy Kings, the Matthew Berry, so on and so forth, LQ, you look at all these content creators that are coming up and have been coming up over the last few years. And I notice that it's always the outsiders that are like, oh, you're doing fantasy football, like that, you're never going to make money. Here it is now, from where you started to like where we are now. This industry is evaluated at almost $9 billion with the B dollars. Like,
yeah.
And there are people that are taking this and turning it into a career, doing part-time with it. And it's just amazing witnessing that, seeing everyone, work together and kind of come together. I honestly think that that is fascinating. I mean, and you've been a part of that from like when we introduced the interview, I said with question 1, you were one of the first ones to be like, no, we're going to make a hub to where everyone could come together and we can put Rum Boys next to the footballers. And like, you may find some new analysis or some new entertainment that you never knew about. Internally grateful for that. one of the things that I want to get into, okay, we've seen the videos where like the confetti is falling. We've seen you at the podium doing the speeches. Like, what makes a perfect live draft in your opinion? Like, what should commissioners be aiming for now that COVID's kind of like lingering, kind of going away? Like, people are able to get together now. What should people be looking to accomplish?
Well, first of all, it's got to be the right people, right? You gotta have people that are on a similar page when it comes to what they're getting into, right? Competition's very important. You don't want people that just don't care, right, in your league. So, and if you have people that maybe it's just a different league for them, right? But for a league to really become special, you got to have the right people. But the experience is really the key. I mean, I like to, think creative and think outside the box and look around and see what people are doing, right? So from our perspective, I mean, walk-up music and introductions and speeches, all that stuff is just a ton of fun, right? I mean, and I guess my focus with fantasy and what I think is right is that the league should be the foundation of, our love for the game, right? The league is where it's at, right? And engagement in that league is what prevents collusion, what prevents leagues from falling apart. So you got to be engaged, you got to be interested. So a huge draft party, however you do it, is important. So from what I do, I mean, I like to have championship banners, speeches, a podium. Make sure the trophy is special. I think if you're fighting for a trophy, that adds that element of competition that might keep people more engaged. I love what Trophy Smack is doing with trophies these days. I mean, there's a lot of companies that are putting stuff out there, but Trophy Smack, I mean, they were just on Shark Tank, and that was awesome, right? So get a great trophy, and try to make the event fun. Again, speeches, banners. I think the logos, for some reason, is really a big deal to have some like branding to your league, whether it's just your league logo or having individual teams have logos, because I feel like you're fighting for that banner, you're fighting for that brand, right? So anything that creates something that binds you to the league makes a difference. And engagement is, I mean, that's what it comes down to. So anything that creates engagement, like videos, weekly power rankings, or today's day and age with all the different ways we can connect as a league, it doesn't cost anything to get on to fake a press conference and trash talk your league in creative ways, right? So those are the kind of things that I obviously think are really helpful at making leagues special and unique.
Hell yeah, I like it. See, I really like the idea of walk-up music. Like, there's nothing like, when you watch baseball, you go to a live game, and Rendon walks up and you got Baby Shark playing, it's like, oh man, he's just trolling the whole crowd, and next thing you know, home run, or you're about to walk up to the big board, make your draft pick, and you got the Stone Cold intro, smack 2 beers, chug them, and then slap Derrick Henry up on the board, like,
I mean, that's a ton of fun, right? And you can obviously control people with slipping in different walk-up music for them. I just anything that hypes the event creates a league experience that just naturally creates a bond. And if that league is bonded, you're not going to see it fall apart, like some leagues do. And that's where, to me, fantasy, the experience with the friends and the families, and that's what it's all about, right? 90% of people that are in a league are going to lose, right? There's only going to be one winner. So it's going to be a negative experience, right? So you got to make it positive. And I think by making sure that the league is engaged and having fun, that's where the focus is. That's where leagues thrive and consistently do well over time.
No, absolutely. By the way, if your live draft has food and brews, just send Kevin and I invites. We there. Kevin, let's go ahead, and speaking of live drafts, over well over half of the industry is going to be in Canton this year. Fantasy Football Expo. What is the bag of tricks that you're bringing to us, Doc? What's it looking like when we get to August?
Well, so let's talk about this. A fantasy football event. I mean, that is really special. I went to the National Fantasy Football Convention in Dallas a few years back. Followed up the next year with SportsCon with two of my best friends. They're in the league. We all went down there. We made those trips, and I mean, the experience was incredible. Getting to meet people, in the industry, from top to bottom. So much fun, such a good time. Just such a great guys trip, and getting to meet people. There's so many people, through Twitter that I know now that I've met that great relationships because of those events. And I think the expo, it's going to be insane. It's going to trump those events, when it comes to just such a concentrated group of us, right? Of fantasy football enthusiasts and this community. So, my gosh, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, that's how you actually met one of the. You've already met a rum boy in real life in Fantasy Sven. How did that kind of work out? Can we get a little backstory on that one?
So I was in line, and when I went to these events, I wore that jacket, right? So I kind of stood out, right? So people recognize me. We're in line, me and my buddies, and he comes in with his cousin, and they're like, hey, what's up, Dr. Murray? So we connected right away. We're in line together, and then we just did the whole weekend together. Such a good guy, and he bonded great with my buddies who are going to be in the expo at the expo as well. So it's going to be a ton of fun seeing him again.
Hell yeah!
Like Kate and Michelle, they met them down there in person. So many other people. I mean, I'm in a league, a dynasty league with a ton of people that we met down there. So these events are huge, and you've not been to something like this, right? This is your first time at
This is my very first Fantasy Football Expo.
My gosh, we went to, we did the draft night out with Sleeper Wire.
Yeah, I'll be
fantasy. That was a ton of fun. I'm in a league with like Casey Kasem and a bunch of people. That event was a ton of fun, but this is going to be next level. I mean, this is going to be high energy, but just great bonding and stuff we'll all look back on, for years as an origin to a lot of relationships that might not exist now, but will for the future.
Absolutely. Speaking of Draft Night Out, make sure you guys get your tickets. Tickets are on sale right now, draftnightout.com. Make sure you go ahead and head over there. We're going to be, all I'm going to say is the venue is a brewery. That's what else could you ask for? I can't release any more details other than draftnightout.com. Tickets $30. Location's going to be at a brewery, and a lot of great personalities are going to be there. Stephanie Small's in the building. I'm going to be there. Dr. Kevin, I'm sure you're going to be pulling up. So, it's going to be
for amazing. Sure all weekend. We'll be there Friday night through Monday. So
let's go.
It's going to be good.
That was just a jolt of adrenaline that just went through my body.
I'm excited. Really excited.
Let's get into a little bit of fantasy talk, and I know that there is this poker-esque element, especially when you participate in live drafts. The way that we do, and you advocate for live drafts the way that we do. Thank you for vaccinations and us being able to get together now in live draft. What's a rookie what's a rookie running back that you feel could really turn it up this year and that you're going to be targeting when we step into the war room?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a thinner class than we'd like to see. I love last year's class for sure, but I think Najee Harris, he's going to get the volume. People are concerned about the offensive line there in Pittsburgh, but he's talented. He's going to get a ton of volume. If ADP isn't too high, you might as well grab him. But Michael Carter, I mean, I think he's in a good spot.
Yeah,
I think there's some value there. I don't like Etienne's spot for now. So it's gonna be interesting looking at the running back class this year for sure.
Absolutely. Duval's kind of interesting down there in Saxonville, because I know that I want a piece of that backfield. And right now, my only game plan is if I cannot grab Robinson to be, my flex. And like right now, when I've been mocking, I did a mock. My last mock I did was a couple of weeks ago was actually with Heath Cummings. I actually went with Heath Cummings and Marcus Grant within the same week. And in both of those
that guy smoked some good meat, huh?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah, I cannot take looking at his Instagram.
Don't look at that page when you're hungry.
Exactly. But no, and actually in both of those drafts, the strategy that I utilized to acquire a piece, I got ETN in both because I wasn't able to get Robinson. And what I'm finding with that backfield is you can get 4th round value for both, but they're going about 3 to 4 picks apart, in the right smack dab in the middle of that 4th. I think that fantasy players should roster a piece of Duval County if you can't get some of those Jaguars. It's a 50-50. Thoughts on Mike Davis following the Quads pick that just dropped yesterday?
don't draft him. Don't draft him. Well, I think ADP I think that kind of thing can actually raise ADP. I think he burned out last year. I mean, people saw him early on, getting in for McCaffrey and playing really well, but his second half of the season was not very strong. He's quality when it comes to just a consistent back, but I don't think he's someone I'm going to be investing in.
I am all in, actually, even before the picture released on Davis, just because of what he had did last season in Carolina. So what I was looking at is like, okay, like if I could get him in the 8th, 9th round, I mean, maybe that's not so bad. And then if he gives me, RB15, RB20 type of return out of a 9th round value, like I'm not upset at that. And if he does good, I can then flip him, right in the middle of the season, beginning half the season, like week 4 time frame, and maybe I get something that's a little bit better.
Yeah, obviously, if he slips, I mean, you might as well. Running backs are thin, right? So you always want that depth. So a guy like that, where there's currently no one, in his way, if he slips, yeah, I mean, definitely grab him. And again, with the Jacksonville deal, obviously, I think Robinson, his stock would have been super high and probably overvalued, before Etienne arrived. So the fact is, both of their values are going to plummet. So maybe there's some value grabbing them where you said you did. I think that it makes sense because one of them might hit. There's a chance that both of them contribute and again fill that RB3 role or 2. If they play well.
Oh yeah, I like it. I'm trying to think. I got to talk about wide receivers while I got you. All right, so wide receivers. Thoughts on Rashad Bateman? Before I get your take, I look at Rashad Bateman's perception, and the routes that he runs, exactly, so beautiful. And
it fits a lot, right?
Yeah, and it fits Lamar Jackson's heat map, where Lamar targets the middle of the field. What are your thoughts on Bateman possibly being a steal?
Yeah, I think he could definitely be a steal. I mean, I think that landing spot, drops that ADP down a little bit. He's talented. I mean, he is a very talented wide receiver. Somebody's got to get some volume there. Hopefully Jackson throws a bit more this year, but he's capable of throwing touchdown passes. And if he can get the ball in his hands, Bateman can make things happen. So I like him. I was hoping that I had a rookie draft recently where I did not have a 1st round pick. I had like the 203, and I was hoping he'd slip to me, but he went right ahead of me. So I like Bateman, definitely.
Okay, let's do a little wide receiver rank them then. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashad Bateman, Terrence Marshall Jr.
Bateman, Marshall, St. Brown.
Okay. Oh wow. All right, we have that the same. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I think Marshall's opportunity. I think Marshall's opportunity is there. I think he's got a shot, but in redraft, I mean, I'm not banking on any of those guys probably, but I take Bateman at the end of the draft. or later on in the draft for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. With Marshall, I think that he could be a really sneaky play, especially in terms of dynasty, because Robbie Anderson only has 1 year on his contract. So, from a coaching
Yeah.
standpoint, yeah, you got to start preparing for that. You got 82.1% out of the slot in Marshall. I'm about to utilize the hell out of that if I'm Matt
Yeah.
Rule.
I like that a lot. I mean, I think in the long run, he's in a good spot.
Awesome. All right. We'll give you one more. All right. Here. And this one's going to be kind of a stack, but a stack with the tight end. So I've been beating this drum lately. And one of the strategies I've been looking at, let's say you miss out on A.J. Brown, right? The way I like to build my stacks is I like to get my receiver first, and then that's how I figure out, I start going through. Let's say you miss it on A.J. Brown. You start to think, all right, later rounds, I need to play some fantasy defense here. Let me go in and take Tannehill so that the A.J. Brown guy doesn't have that stack. And then you stack Tannehill with Fursker because no one's really looking at Fursker. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, he's an easy guy to grab at the end of a draft. I don't think people are going to be taking him. Definitely has the upside at tight end for sure in Tennessee. I mean, I think that's a great way to do it. Your A.J. Brown's going to go high. He's going to go very, 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 very high. So you probably will miss out on him in a lot of leagues. So I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah, I see. I appreciate that. That's been one of my little low key strategies that I'm sitting on, and I think it's gonna pay off. I think it's gonna pay off. I mean, I have this knack for getting later tight ends that kind of come up and evolve and help you help you win championships.
That's the great thing about that's the great thing about fantasy when it comes to just creating narratives in your mind, things that you think are gonna potentially play out, getting into that draft and making it happen. There's so many different ways you can do it. But if you have a plan.
Yeah, if you have a plan, follow it. Like I had ended up with Mark Andrews. Lamar Jackson's rookie year. And man, I was so happy because Lamar was just middle of the field, because he runs a lot and he's throwing on the run. What happens is that makes linebackers draw out, and then you just got a wide open. You got a wide open middle. Plus, he had Hayden Hurst and Boyle there, so they were running a lot of 12 personnel, which helped benefit Andrews a lot. So I mean, I've just kind of been, I gotten Logan Thomas last year, and that paid off dividends. So I'm thinking first this year is that low key tight end that could really be a guy. Him and possibly Komet maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that. I mean, I think if you miss out on those top few, you might as well wait till the end and scoop up guys like that.
Exactly. Because after the first five, like I know everyone's like the first three, but after like the first five, so Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, and I go Andrews and then Pitts just because we haven't seen Pitts at NFL speed yet. And then after that, it's like I'm away. Well,
I'm with you.
Well, Dr. Kevin Murray, I greatly appreciate you for making time today and joining us today on Business and Brews. What can the people expect coming from you next? By the way, if you guys have not checked out his TikTok page, go follow him on TikTok. It is great. It is great. Fantasy football TikToks is a community. It is a thing, and it's growing.
It is. Yeah, I just recently got on there, and man, it's fun. It's right up my alley when it comes to just some more little bit obnoxious fantasy stuff and fun, right? I like to make it fun. So
yeah, dude, really quick, let me applaud you because I always preach, to a lot of people. A lot of guys ask me like, man, how did you grow your YouTube channel? How did you grow your community? I'm like, dude, I'm everywhere on social media. Like, just because something is new or something has a learning curve, like, get out there and do it. Get out there and learn it. Like, I want to applaud you for that. Like, because going back to the beginning of the interview, from your journey, Like there are analysts that are like that are just refusing to do it and refusing to grow with the times. And you, sir, are timeless in terms of your marketing. And that's what makes great marketing. So I just wanted to shout you out. But what's coming next from you? Where can people find you? All that stuff. The next like 2 minutes are yours.
Right on. So you can find me on Twitter currently at FF Unlimited. Dr. KJ Murray. Hopefully that'll be back pretty soon on Twitter. But for now, FF Unlimited. Instagram, Fantasy Football Unlimited. TikTok at Dr. KJ Murray. YouTube, I'm getting heavy on that come July. So I'm going to do a lot when it comes to some content, a lot of commissioner stuff, a lot of draft stuff coming up for the summer. And hopefully I'll be starting a podcast too in July. So getting a lot of things going, putting a lot of things together right now. So lots to come. But the Fantasy Football Unlimited website, we love to bring in new content creators when it comes to showcasing their product, right? So if anybody out there wants to get on a certain page or whatnot, contact me. You can reach me at connect@fantasyfootballunlimited.com or just DM on a social media site. And love to help people find you, right? So anybody out there creating content and want to be up on some of these pages, let me know. There's kind of a backlog of a lot of stuff I need to get worked on, get put up over the next couple months. But a lot will evolve on that site. And again, we're getting a ton of traffic. So it's great to see that. It's great to see that people are finding, content creators like yourself or like others through the site. So definitely something I'm proud of and excited about building and building and building. So, and Fantasy Football Expo, make sure to get there.
Let's go. Make sure you guys get your tickets for the Fantasy Football Expo. You'll be able to draft with both Dr. Kevin Murray and myself. We will be there. We'll be at Draft Night Out. Get your tickets for Draft Night Out as well. Other than that, you can catch me, rumboys.com. And yeah, I'll be out there on the Twitter, in the Twitterverse the rest of the day. Apparently it's National Streaming Day, but I feel like I've contributed being on 2 shows back to back this afternoon. So I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna go hiking throughout Colorado Springs. I'm gonna go enjoy this weather. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all be safe. Make sure that you keep yourself, all sanitized and all that good stuff. Don't be getting sick and all that good stuff. Appreciate the ones that you love. Make sure that you download the SportsMe app. Ladies and gentlemen, cheers to me. Cheers to you, all the Rum Boys and girls. What it do? Dilly dilly. I'ma holla at you. Peace.